Number 1 is Ninja Gaiden. Most people got this one, but a lot of the actual producers did it. The funny thing is, one person said it sounds like a Ninja Gaiden game, not realizing it's the Ninja Gaiden. Number 2 is Super Mario Land. Few people were thrown off by this one because it doesn't sound like a Mario game. It's a very popular game, but it's the music to World 4, so close to the end of the game. A number of people actually thought it was from the Mystical Ninja games. Nope, it's Mario. Sorry, guys. Number 3 is Streets of Rage 2. This is the boss music, so you hear it pretty frequently. If you're into Sega games, you probably know this one. A lot of the answers I got sent said Streets of Rage, but it's Streets of Rage 2. Number 4 is Friday the 13th for NES. It's the theme that plays inside the cabins. This game was pretty popular, but even if you haven't played it, you might have seen Angry Video Game Nerds videos about it. Hopefully a lot of you caught this one. Number 5 is the main music to Bust-A-Move, or Puzzle Bobble. If you said either of those titles, I accepted it as correct. This one is from GoldenEye 007 in the Cavern stage. A lot of you got this one correct, so maybe this one was a tad easy. It's one of the last missions too, so a lot of you have really played the crap out of this game. I shouldn't have been surprised. Number 7 is Sonic the Hedgehog 2. This was an easier one too, a lot of you guys knew this answer. It's from the Oil Ocean Zone, if you want specifics. Number 8 is Revenge of Shinobi for Sega Genesis. It's the music to the very first level, so if you ever played this game, you probably know it. Number 9, Donkey Kong Country. This music plays in the factory levels. This game is legendary for its graphics and sound, so hopefully this wasn't a hard one for you. Number 10 is Batman for NES. This was a tricky one for some of you. It's from the third level, the weird sewer one with those mute guys. Number 11 is Commando for Commodore 64. This one's a little obscure for a lot of you, as the Commodore wasn't really as popular as other gaming systems, but if you had a Commodore, you've probably played Commando at some point, and its music is well known among Commodore fans. Number 12 was a little hard for a lot of you. At least one person said it just sounds like a bad MIDI. It's from the original Paper Mario for Nintendo 64. It's Bowser's theme song, and it plays whenever he appears and speaks in the game. Number 13 is Legend of the Mystical Ninja, the very first screen of the game. I have to admit, I thought this game was a little more obscure than it was. A lot of you picked up on it immediately. The music is actually pretty similar to World 4 of Super Mario Land, so hopefully you didn't get them too confused. Number 14, the original Devil May Cry. Very few people got this one right, despite the fact that it's a very popular game. I played this music in the rooms with the statue where you could buy and sell upgrades. Number 15, Tyrion. This was a top-down shooter for DOS, so you probably know it if you played a lot of DOS games. A lot of you are console gamers, so maybe you didn't catch this one. Very cool game, check it out sometime. Number 16 is Spider-Man and Venom: Maximum Carnage. This game was a pretty popular beat-em-up, and it was one of the first games to have the soundtrack composed by an actual band, Green Jello. I was a little sneaky here because I showed you the middle of the song, and most of the early levels are too short for you to really hear the whole thing. Sorry about that, I just really like this guitar solo. Number 17, Legend of Zelda: Majora's Mask. A lot of you knew it, but a surprising number of people confused it for other games. It's the music from the Deku Palace. Number 18 is from Battletoads. Very infamous game, although this music is from after the Turbo Tunnel, so most of you probably haven't gotten that far. Seriously, the Turbo Tunnel is impossible. But you might still know this if you've seen some really good Let's Plays. "19 is Perfect Dark, the pseudo-sequel to GoldenEye. This is the Air Force One level.
Hey, that's not...
Number 20 is Castle of Illusion, starring Mickey Mouse for Sega Genesis. It's from level 3. This was kind of a last-minute change. Originally I was going to use music from Castlevania Symphony of the Night, but I got a copyright ding when I uploaded a test video, so I switched it out for this. Hopefully it didn't give you too much trouble. Number 21 is Hagane. This is a Super Nintendo beat-em-up with lots of backflips and crazy challenging gameplay. The music is from the very beginning of the game, so you don't have to be an expert player to hear it. It kind of reminds me of the level 1 music from Revenge of Shinobi a little bit. Number 22 is from the game Iron Sword, Wizards and Warriors 2 for NES. This is from the fire stage where you fight the fire elemental. Number 23 is from Castlevania Lament of Innocence, from the same composer as Symphony of the Night and Castlevania Bloodlines, Michiru Yamane. Number 24 is from Shaq Fu. Yes, believe it or not. In my opinion, this is the only music track in this game that's actually really good. Unfortunately, it's long, and the stupid game's time limit will prevent you from hearing the whole thing even under the best circumstances, especially since the music restarts every round. Real shame, as this music is awesome. 25 is Star Trek The Next Generation for Super Nintendo. That's an important distinction, as the Sega Genesis TNG game is much different. The music is from the third away mission. Probably most of you haven't heard it because those of you who played this game got sick to death of it on the second away mission with the tedious wandering around and super repetitive music. Mission 3 is way better, just make sure you use data. '26 is Pitfall 2 for Atari. This was a really unique game, as most Atari games didn't have music, especially not as complex as this. Really a groundbreaking game, even though not as well known as the original Pitfall. Number 27 is from Sonic Heroes. This is the Mystic Mansion level. The music actually repeats just a few bars and only changes to the next part depending on in-game cues, but if you find the original soundtrack, you can hear the music play through without much repetition. Your mileage may vary, I actually kind of like the repetitiousness.
Okay.
Number 28 is from Castlevania for Nintendo 64. I also would have accepted Legacy of Darkness because they use the same music. This was always my favorite musical piece from the game. It's so cool and creepy when you explore the mansion, and from the distant recesses you can hear someone playing a harpsichord. Eerie, I love it. One person put in a different Castlevania game, so I gave them a tiebreaker point. Number 21 is Rise of the Triad, a DOS shooter kind of like Wolfenstein that came out around the same time as Doom. It's on the obscure side for sure. I wasn't surprised that not many people got it, but I was surprised at how few of you did. Like a lot of DOS games of the era, the music is MIDI, so it can kind of sound different depending on your sound card, but it should be recognizable for those of you who actually played it. Don't feel bad if you didn't get this one, it was tricky. Number 30 is Castlevania Aria of Sorrow for Game Boy Advance. The music is also by Michiru Yamane. I guess you could say I'm a fan of hers. Okay, now we're getting really tough. 31 is Jurassic Park for Super Nintendo. The music in this game changes depending on what area of the open world you visit. If you play for more than a few minutes, you should hear it. Number 32 is from Buffy the Vampire Slayer Chaos Bleeds. It was released for PlayStation 2 and Xbox, and the music here is from the menu screen. You just have to wait for the Buffy theme to finish playing to hear it. Remarkably, this one turned out to be one of the hardest, as not one person guessed correctly. Number 33 is from Link, The Faces of Evil, for CDI. Yep. Number 34, Star Paws for Commodore 64. It's kind of like the Roadrunner cartoons. You're a space coyote and you use space gadgets to capture super fast flightless space birds. Okay, it's exactly Roadrunner, just in space. Number 35 is Asterix and Obelix, Bash Them All. This is basically a GBA port of the Super Nintendo Asterix and Obelix game. It was released in 5 different languages and has a bunch of different names, so I took that into account with the submissions. The music is basically the same as in the original SNES port, so if you guessed that one, I count it as a correct answer. Number 36 is from Populous The Beginning. It's an RTS where you cast spells and alter the terrain and other cool things. Very underrated game.
Mission 2. Start.
Number 37 is Metal Slug 3. The music is from Mission 2, which is a zombie level. Number 38 is Nemesis the Warlock for Commodore 64. Okay, yeah, this is pretty freaking obscure. It's a Commodore game based on a lesser-known comic book from the same people who did Judge Dredd. The music is from the title screen. Number 39, Mystic Defender for Sega Genesis. The music is from the very first level. Number 40 is from Dash Galaxy in the Alien Asylum. It's an NES action-adventure exploration game. The music is from the top-down segments of the game. Okay, this one was kind of a weird trick question in a way. This is Star Fox. No, not that Star Fox. Another game called Star Fox for Commodore 64. It has nothing to do with Nintendo Star Fox at all. This is the title screen music. 0 people got this one. I think I went too obscure here. .42 is Baton Kaitos, an RPG for GameCube. It has a bit of a cult following, and this music is from pretty deep into the game, so it's not well known at all. But it was too awesome for me not to include it, so here it is.
So peculiar here.
Phew. That was a long ride.
We certainly have had our share of close calls.
43. Okay, I admit, this one was nasty. This is 1942, but a really specific version of 1942. See, the Commodore 64 port of 1942 had different music than the arcade port and NES port and all other versions. But then it was re-released a few years later as 2 different versions, one of which had different original music. So this is from an alternate version of a re-release of a Commodore 64 port of 1942, where the only difference is the music, so most people aren't even aware that there is a difference. This is super hard to find. Number 44, Cold Dreams. This is a DOS shareware game. I got it on a CD of 100 shareware games back in the 90s. It is not well known. But if you were a DOS gamer that collected free shareware demos, you might have played this. I guess not many of you because nobody guessed it. Number 45 is Mission Impossible for Nintendo 64. It was pretty forgettable. This music is from one of the first missions, where you're in an embassy where a performer is playing it on a piano. Part of the mission includes getting them to play a different piece. It's kind of weird, but the music he played always sounded awesome to me. .46 is Flying Dragon for NES. It's a pretty obscure game, but it has had a slew of sequels, including one for Nintendo 64. .47 is Last Ninja 2. This was a popular game for Commodore 64, but this music is from one of the last levels. .48 is from Ragnarok Online. Okay, I thought this was a pretty evil one, but a bunch of people got it. Ragnarok Online is an MMORPG that I actually thought no longer existed. And it has music turned off by default. You have to actually bother to turn the music on manually to hear any of it. And then you have to grind for more than 30 levels to get to this part of the game. Or you can just look in the game's music directory and find the MP3. .49 is Blake Stone, Aliens of Gold. This was a futuristic first-person shooter in the style of Wolfenstein. The music is from Mission 2. And finally, number 50 is Journey to Celius. I actually was considering making the last one from an online Flash game, but that was a free-to-play game, and I thought it might be cheating to not make it a professional, commercially released game, so I used this instead. This one was a little bit of a boon, and I guess a lot of people figured it out pretty quickly. And that's it! I know a lot of these were really hard, and a few of them were just about impossible, but hopefully I helped introduce some of you to some really awesome video game music. Thanks for playing along, and check out some more of my videos I'll be doing about video game music in the future.